Hello friends, today we talk about Azure Function. Azure Functions is a serverless compute service which allows us to run code in response to events without even manage the infrastructure. Here are some use cases that we can talk about. Microsoft shared some very nice use cases that we consider before even we start think about any services. This is one of the example. So in this particular example, a user uploads a photo to a blob storage container. The blob storage publishes that storage object's events to event grid. Event grids trigger an Azure function and then Azure function takes some action. So here Azure function is changing the size of the image and putting it back to the blob storage. Let's go to another use case. In this use case, a customer places an order in the e-commerce website. The order triggers an instance of function. Then the database inserts operations trigger and Azure Cosmos DB changes feed events. Now it can be parallel as well. So here we can see there are three different kinds of function these functions are doing. One for the tax, another for the payment, the third one is fulfillment. So it can be many other functions that can be triggered at the same time. Now let's talk about how we can build those functions. So it supports varieties of languages. Most of the common languages it supports like C#, JavaScript, Python, Java, PowerShell, TypeScript. I'll share all these documents in the comments. Now let's talk about the price of it. Now there are 4 different plans that we can obtain. The most popular, that is the consumption plan. Then there is a premium plan is available. The only difference is the premium plan has more power a full instance. Say for example, it has a hot start. So the consumption plan, it might be for the first request, it might take a little bit longer time. But premium plan, it's always up. And consumption plan also support the auto scaling like other plans. Now, the other important stuff, if you want to put your function behind the firewall, then the consumption plan doesn't have any virtual network support. So then you need to move to the premium plan. The other one very important, that is the Azure App Service Plan. This service plan we can utilize for function, app service, web app, and the others. So it's kind of in a group of the combined of multiple applications or multiple functions running on the same app service plan. And this is the container apps that's recently they launched. Let's go to deep dive into the pricing. So here, if we come here, we can see it's almost free. It's very, very cheap. So the first 400 GB per second, which is free in a month in entire subscription. And also it has a limit of 1 million executions, so which is very high. And after that it will charge some cents, which is very, very minimum if you consider this one. And this is kind of a premium plan if it is needed at all. Let's go to the support side of it. Now there is a call binding. The binding has trigger, input, and output. Say for example, you want to trigger from the event grid. So these are the supporting mechanism. So I would always recommend to go with the 2.x and higher. So I think currently it's working on 2.4. Now there's some example. Let's think about like the event grid. Event grid has the output. It doesn't have the input. Now if we consider blob storage, so we can have the trigger from the blob storage, we can have the input, and even we can put the output from the function. And the other services are also listed here. Now let's go to the Azure portal and try to build a function. So functions can be created in both or multiple ways. First we can utilize the portal to create one function, and then we'll go to the code how we can build it. So if I let's start a function. So I'll put some tutorial serverless. Let's put some unique name, maybe tuto tutorial serverless. That's unique. Now, these are the different stacks that we need to select. Let's try with the Node.js. We can try with the East US. Let's try as it is. So these are the three plans, like consumption, which is serverless completely, functions, and the premium. Let's try with the serverless. Go to storage, we don't need. Now, the network support, as I said, it needs premium to support the network injection. Let's go to monitor. We don't need to do any monitor at this point. Let's go to the deployment. Let's disable it. We'll do it later. Tagging, we are not doing anything at this point. Let's create it. So it will take little time to create that function. So let's wait a little bit. And we can also see here the deployment that Azure is doing at this point. And it will list all the deployment or all the component that it's doing. So here is one component, and it's still working on the other component. So let's do the other way at this point while it's working. So there is another way, as I said. Let's go to new Visual Studio Code.